Coach, this past Thursday, you went up to Hays, Kansas, played Fort Hays State, walked away with a 28-7 win. Just talk about what you saw from your team in their season opener.
Yeah, I was really impressed with our guys' focus and going into the game. It's a tough place to go play. I mean, their student section sits right behind you, and it gets pretty crazy and pretty wild and, quite frankly, pretty vulgar at times on things. But our kids were locked in. They didn't buy into that stuff. They just went and played ball. And I was really excited about that. I think offensively, we got a good skill set around Braden Fuller as our quarterback, and having a lot of different weapons that we can use to cause problems for a defense. You saw that, I think, on Thursday night, and then defensively, that was the question mark going in. Are we with what we lost in graduation last year, were we going to be able to replace that with great productivity? And we did. Our guys stepped in and played, and then the neat thing about it is how we recruit. A lot of those guys that stepped in and played for us in new positions were already in the program. They'd been here a year or two, so it was exciting. And the other thing is we played really good special teams. We did. Our punter averaged 45 yards a punt, or 46 yards a punt when we did punt, and we just did a really good job. Donnie Bishop had a great return on punt return that set us up for our second score thing. So it was just it was exciting, and just really happy about how they focused and got locked in for a long road trip and played well.
And following up on that, you already have a better start this year in non-conference than last year. So what's been the biggest difference so far? I know it's early, but what's been the biggest difference maker this season?
Well, I think it's just having more experience, especially at the quarterback position. That was one. You look at last year, Braden was breaking in as a starting quarterback, hadn't played a whole lot of football for us yet. So him having a whole year of experience at the quarterback position, I think, definitely helps out. And obviously the success that he had last year as he went on through the season rolled into it. But I'd also throw in that I think our receiver room is outstanding. I think our running back room is outstanding. I think our offensive line did an awesome job. 3 of those guys were making their first starts. So I thought they did a great job as well. I just think we're a well-rounded football team compared to years past. On defense, our D-line got after the quarterback. We probably should have had a few more sacks than just one, because that guy was running for his life all night. But the back end did a great job of covering down and keeping a blanket over the top of the coverage, and limiting them to one score. So it was just kind of like a bunch of different things that happened for us. We're just a bit more of a mature football team right now.
And speaking of Fuller, what went well for him specifically in the first game, and how will you and the coaching staff continue to help him succeed in non-conference next week?
Yeah, well, what went well for him is him being him. I mean, he's a good player and does he makes great decisions with the football. He did throw his first interception of the regular season in his career, but it was on like a 3rd and 16, and they intercepted the ball at the 4-yard line. So it was a great punt, what we told him at the end. But, again, I'll go back to it. I just think that, with him doing what he does and the weapons he has around him now, we're excited about it. I mean, he has a lot of support with him. He doesn't have to go out and win a football game on his own on things. And, he didn't have to do that last year either, but I think at times he felt that way. And, having big explosion type plays in our games, and having the ability to do that where not every touchdown's a 10 or 11 play drive where we can score in a big play, that threat is good for Braden to have those guys around him.
And you open your regular season opener this week and still non-conference. What do you hope to see from this matchup? What kind of matchup can we expect?
Well, Emporia is a different football team than what we see a lot. Actually, it'd probably be a good indication of how we play moving forward, because a couple of air raid teams have come in, staffs have come into the Lone Star Conference to throw the ball. Emporia's got no huddle. They're going to hurry you. They're going to go as fast as they can and try to get you to make mistakes and play base defense and do that kind of stuff. So, that's what we're going to see on defense from their offense. Defensively, they play a lot of 3-3 stack stuff, the Iowa State defense, what everybody terms it as nowadays, but the 3-eye safety stuff. So, we'll have our hands full. It'll be different from what we've seen. But we did play them last year, have film on them, have an idea of what they do. They had a game against Minot State this year already in week 0 and 1. So got some film there, and we'll take it for what it's worth. But we're gonna have to line up and play really good defense again, limit their opportunities, and get off the field on 3rd downs. That's going to be big, and not fall asleep with the tempo stuff.
Coach, talk to me about your offense. Obviously, y'all came out with some very, maybe some someone say exotic looks out there, and of course, going deep in your play call sheet. Talk to me about the thought process behind going to that trick play with Caden Smith.
Well, I think to us, we've been running it all spring and all fall, so it wasn't. It was trick to them, but it was old hat for us. We've been running it, and our guys understand that. And Caden brings that type of threat. He can throw the football, obviously, as a backup quarterback, but he can really run. And the things that we can utilize him with in our play calling, Coach Kilmer is very understanding of that. I mean, he's a really good coach in the sense of bringing up, finding ways to use the strengths of your players. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited for Caden. That guy, we got to find a way to get him on the field more. I mean, again, he's the backup quarterback, but at the same time, he is one of the best athletes on this football team, hands down. So we got to find a way to get him in the game, and I think Coach Kilmer and the offensive staff did a great job of utilizing his skill set, and hopefully we'll continue to grow on that.
And then I know you want to be able to give everybody the credit, because everybody, you want to highlight a guy, Marquise Brown, 13 tackles, 2 TFLs, and an interception credited to him on Saturday. Just talks about, I know maybe the tackle numbers not what you're going to see from a defensive back out of 13 leading your team, but his impact on the field just seems to be major for your team on Saturday.
Yeah, no, I was really excited about his tackles, quite frankly, because they were in a lot of 12 personnel, which is run sets where he's reading tight ends, and tight ends are pass blocking, are run blocking, and he fits. The run fits, which means we're fitting everything else right. If he's getting the tackles, we're fitting the A and the B and the C gap correctly, so the ball has to continue to spill, and he was coming up and making great plays. He had an awesome interception on a play too. He's a young man that's been in the program for, this is his second year. Brought him in super late in camp last year, so it was kind of a late addition, and he needed time. He needed time to continue to grow at that position, and he did it, and worked hard in the off season. I'm just proud of him. He came in and had 13 tackles, and I think 2 tackles for loss out of that, as well as an interception. So he's a guy that is special, and there's a lot of those guys that made those first starts. Nate Morcom, again, another guy. Really proud of him. You guys asked me about it last week about who is a player I look forward to seeing play, and he was one of them, and he was up there in tackles as well. So, and then the usual suspects too, right? Our D line was great, and Xavier Walton, our weak safety, was our second leading tackler. And again, how we play defense, a lot of the ball gets spilled out, so we're getting those safeties down to tackle. So very proud of those guys. But Marquise was not a surprise to me, because I know how talented he is, but it was great to watch him do it.
Ryan, you got anything?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
First off, sorry, Coach. Doors were locked out there.
Oh, you're good.
Man, just first of all, just for my own benefit, how good was it getting that 4-ace monkey off your back from last season?
Well, it was great. I mean, you go back and look at the way things went down there last year, and they're a darn good football team. They are. They finished 8-3, and they're going to be good this year too. I mean, they're physical out of it, but there are some circumstances last year that really hurt our opportunities to go in with the delays and all that stuff and the travel, but we're not going to make excuses for it. They lined up and beat us that day, and we just didn't play well, but we felt like we were a good enough football team to go there and win consistently, and we showed that this week, and but they're a well-coached football team. Like I said, they're going to go win a lot of games in the MIAA. They just are, because of how physical they are. But end of the day, it was a great win for us, and it was good to go and see our guys go and execute at a high level.
Yeah, Coach, to your point, it does seem like this team's a little bit different this year. You seem much more set in all of the offensive positions.
Yeah.
That defense looks strong again. What's it going to take to keep that going this week in Emporia State as well?
Yeah, it's going to be a different challenge for sure. They're going to be a pass-happy team. They're going to be a very high-tempo team. One thing I'll say about what we look like, how we play, and what we're doing right now has a lot to do with Brady Connor as well, our head strength conditioning coach. We look different. We're physically having a year under him, and throughout the whole off-season workouts, in-season, off-season workouts has been huge for us. And he's been great, and that's something that's you can see. I've had many people contact me over the last few days after that game saying, "Man, you guys look really big. You guys look really fast." And we are, and a lot of that has to do with what Brady's brought to the table, Coach Connor's brought to the table in strength conditioning.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you, Coach.
All right, take care, guys.